Hello, this is a tribute to my dear friend Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was a former Prime Minister of India who recently passed away. Dr. Manmohan Singh, India's Prime Minister from 2004 to 2014 and one of the architects of Indian economic reforms, passed away on 26 December 2024. He was 92 years old and was ailing for some time, but the death was peaceful and painless, a mark of a great soul. Hundreds of eulogies and obituaries have been written and will be written about him, but to me he was a very dear friend whose company I really enjoyed, and he mine. Though there was a difference of about 20 years in our age, yet we interacted as friends. I met him many times and we used to discuss many issues facing the country. This tribute, therefore, is not about his great accomplishments, which were many, but of a very noble person and a friend. The first time I met Dr. Manmohan Singh was in 2018 when he had come to Pune to accept the Anna Sahib Chirmule Award. The award was established by United Western Bank Limited. Its then chairman Shri P.N. Joshi, a very dear friend of mine, invited me to attend the dinner hosted in the honor of Dr. Singh. There were about 10 to 15 people, including Shri Prithviraj Chauhan, who later on became the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. I had a short chat with Dr. Manmohan Singh during this dinner and told him about the problem we were having in saving our institute lands from being acquired under the Land Acquisition Act. This acquisition was initiated by a local minister who was inimical to us, and this was his ploy to acquire our fertile institute lands. Dr. Singh told me to write a note on this problem and give it to him. I wrote a one-page handwritten note and handed it to him the next day during the Chirmule Award ceremony. After reaching Delhi, Dr. Singh was very gracious enough to write a long letter to Shri Vilas Rao Deshmukh, the then Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and requested him that the lands of our institute, Nimkar Agriculture Research Institute, should be saved from acquisition since it is a charitable institute working for the common good. Though Shri Deshmukh promptly replied, but the problem was not solved, and we finally had to fight our own battles and were able to save our institute lands from being acquired. How we did it is a different story for some other day. The second time I met Dr. Manmohan Singh was in Mumbai in November 2001 when he gave me the Jamnalal Bajaj Award for the applications of science and technology for rural applications. He liked my acceptance speech and wanted me to join him and the Congress party. We had a lengthy talk after the awards function, and he was insistent that I come and meet him in Delhi. That opportunity came in December 2002 when our institute was given the FICCI Platinum Jubilee Award at the hands of Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Dr. Manmohan Singh gave me an appointment to meet him at his office in the Parliament House Annexi. He was very cordial in his meeting and told me that he wants to set up a knowledge commission with Sam Pitroda as his chairman and wanted me to be a part of it. I told him that I'll be more than happy to be associated with him in whatever capacity he wants me to be. Looking back, I was surprised that he probably felt that Congress would come back to power and hence he was making the plans for different commissions. After that meeting, we kept in touch and he used to regularly reply to my letters and articles that I sent him. We also talked many times on the phone. After he became the Prime Minister in 2004, I tried two times to meet him, but somehow his bureaucracy did not allow access. His former secretaries who were friendly to me before were immediately changed after he ascended the Prime Minister post. Since I never wanted any political posts or favors from him, so did not persist in trying to contact him. In 2015, after the defeat of Congress or the UPA, I decided to again meet Dr. Singh. I was given half an hour appointment to meet him at his house, which stretched to almost 1 hour 15 minutes. I have always found that most politicians, when out of power, have enough time and inclination to meet. In our meetings with Dr. Singh, I would jokingly tell him about this, and he had a great laugh. In that meeting, initially Dr. Singh was little reticent. After all, I was meeting him after almost 12 years. But very soon he became very warm and friendly, and I got the feeling that had I not left the meeting, since I had an appointment, a lunch appointment somewhere else, the meeting would have lasted much longer. His wife, Mrs. Gursharan Kaur, also joined us for a short time. Since that meeting in 2015, I met him many times and made it a point to meet him whenever I was in Delhi. In fact, his staff told me that he does not give too many appointments, but whenever I wanted to meet him, I was always welcome. Dr. Singh told me many times that he enjoyed my company and said that he looked forward to meeting me. All our meetings were one to one, and I found him to be very sharp and with excellent memory. We discussed the affairs of country and what can be done for the future. Because of his diabetes and heart problems, he told me that he felt weak and little down, but I felt our discussions invigorated him. He repeatedly told me that he was really sorry that his bureaucracy did not allow me to meet him when he was the Prime Minister. I told him that I was not looking for favors or position and just wanted to meet him to discuss various issues facing the country and learn from his experiences and about other things. He was very touched by it, and I also presented him my books, and he said that he will read them. Accidental Prime Minister. He told me that he was not the first choice for the Prime Minister. It was fate that put him there. It was always Mr. Pranab Mukherjee or Sharad Pawar or Arjun Singh, etc. And they resented his excellency to the Prime Minister's post. So I asked him how he managed such crafty people. So with a smile, he said that he knew ways to placate them and smoothen their ruffled feathers. He also said he was fully aware of the corruption of some of his colleagues, but his hands were tied. I got a feeling that in the second term of his prime ministership, he was supposed to have vacated his chair. Since he did not do so, it resulted in making his life hell by powers to be. It is generally felt that his first term were golden years and the second term, which was from 2009 to 14, was a failure. We did discuss some of the problems that he faced in the last year of his premiership. He told me that he had agreed completely to the Lokpal bill, but Anna Hazare and others hurled abuses on him, saying that he was corrupt and he had taken money, etc. etc. He said he was not allowed to function. I got a feeling that partly because of that, he lost the will to govern, which led to chaos in the last stages of his second term. Naturally, it remains a mystery on why he did not resign rather than cling to power. I never discussed this, but I got a feeling that this will be little a touchy subject, so I left it as it is. He also told me that the highest office is a very lonely place and had the greatest regret that he could not get good people to join and help him during his prime ministership. Dr. Manmohan Singh was a very gracious person. In fact, he was gracious to a fault. Anytime I went to see him, he would always come to the car portico to leave me despite his health problems. Couple of times I had to hold him since he was unsteady on his feet, but always displayed that gracious old world charm. In my last meeting in March 2024, he was too weak to come and leave me, so he told his wife, Mrs. Gursharan Kaur, who was with us during the meeting, to leave me till the portico. Besides, he was always ready to help our institute in whatever way he could. He was always curious to know what the youngsters think about the country. I would tell him about my interactions and lectures in IITs and various colleges. Once he asked me what I see as the future of India. I told him that we should have a new paradigm of development based on the combination of spirituality and technology, a theme that I have been writing for about 20 years. He liked it very much and said that it should be propagated. In my many discussions with him, we discussed where the country was going. He felt sad about the present situation and said that this is not the India he recognizes. He said that India is a pluralistic society and the leader has to respect the diversity of opinion, and divisive politics will not work and will be harmful for the country. Though the opposition said really nasty things about him, he was a gentleman to the fault. In my many meetings with him, he never uttered any harsh words against any leader. Since we were only two of us together, that said a lot about the decency of Dr. Manmohan Singh. I wish younger generation of the leaders present should learn from him. Then he narrated some interesting incident anecdotes from his life. He once told me uh, about his life in United States and his stay there and how he worked for 3 years in United Nations after teaching in Punjab University. But after 3 years, he decided to leave and come back to India. U Thant, the then Secretary General of United Nations, was not happy and told him that he is being foolish, but then the rest is history. Dr. Singh told me that in 3 years at UN, he got two promotions and possibly they were thinking of making him the Under Secretary General of UN, but he felt that he belonged to India. I told him about my similar experiences in US with the University of Florida and USAID and told him that I came back, but I am nobody, whereas he became the Prime Minister. He smiled and said that I live a very noble life. Maybe it was a political statement, but I got the feeling that he had read my book on my US experience. He told me many times that he wanted me to meet Rahul Gandhi and will tell him to use my services, but somehow I was not very inclined to do so. We then discussed the Congress party, and I told him to help revive it since the country needed a viable opposition, and the Indian National Congress, a great party to which my father belonged and now he belonged, can only provide such an opposition. I also told him that till Congress is in the hands of mafia and coterie, it will never become a great party. He did not take any offense at this remark and was quite philosophical about it. He said that young people have different vision of the party. They come to see him, but only perfunctorily, and think that he is irrelevant. It is really sad that very few people took advantage of his vast knowledge and experience. In fact, I went to him to specifically discuss these issues and learn from his experiences, and I think I benefited tremendously. So many times during our meetings, I requested him to write his memoirs, since his long experience would have been useful to inspire the youngsters and future generations. He said it will not be possible since he will only write the truth and it will hurt a lot of people. I then suggested that he should write on issues that need to be tackled rather than the personalities, and that point he liked. In one of the meetings, I got the impression that he would write his autobiography, but alas, it never came to be. So all that experience is lost. We also discussed quite a few times about Gandhiji. He had read most of my articles on Gandhiji and was curious about some of the Gandhiji's experiments on food and sustainable living. Besides, many times we discussed my spiritual writings, and he echoed my idea that India will benefit from the combination of spirituality and technology. In one of my meetings, I asked him a point blank question. In whose presence did he feel happy, content, and like that person? I felt that he had met the who's who of the world, spiritual gurus of India, and so many other so called great men, and so will have an interesting answer. He thought for a moment, and then answered President Barack Obama. After a moment, he said that he also liked George Bush and told me that President Bush had made a portrait of him. I requested him to show me that portrait, but I guess it must be in some box in his house. Later on, he told me that it is in George Bush's presidential library in the United States. I was surprised that he talked about Obama and nobody else. In retrospect, that was the mutual regard and affection that both Obama and Dr. Singh had for each other, since in Obama's latest book, he speaks very highly of Dr. Singh. Dr. Manmohan Singh also told me how Aadhaar came in existence. And any time I went to Delhi, I used to make it a point to see Dr. Singh. In one such visit, I met my friend Mr. Narayan Murthy, the founder of Infosys, and my contemporary in IIT Kanpur. I told Dr. Singh about my meeting Murthy. He told me that Murthy is in trouble. I did not ask him what trouble he is in, but got a feeling that he was up to the date in his news. Further on the issue of Infosys, he narrated to me how he got Nandan Nilikani to run Aadhaar. Dr. Singh wanted to give a cabinet position to Nilikani after reading his autobiography. He asked him what he wanted to do. Nilikani wanted to become an education minister. Dr. Singh told me that as a regular minister, Nilikani would have failed since the seasoned politicians would have made him zero. So he asked Nilikani what else he wants to do. And the idea of Aadhaar came out of this and how it started. He was delighted when I got the Padma Shri and told me that he was looking forward to meeting me after the award ceremony. I was not feeling well during that time and felt that I may give him my bug if I go and meet him. I called him and told him about it. He was very touched by that sentiment. I again met him in November 2023 and presented my latest book, Exploring the Mind of God. The last time I met him was in March 2024 and was with him and his wife, Mrs. Gursharan Kaur, for nearly 1.5 hours. He did not look well at all. He was in a wheelchair, his face was puffed up, and his cheeks were nearly black. He lamented that he could not walk and hardly could speak, also that he could not read. I suggested to his wife that he should be given audiobooks. Yet he was sharp as ever. He inquired about the institute and said that he does not recognize the present India. He took tea with me but could not drink it. His hands shook a lot when he held the cup and thus did not drink it. In all my previous meetings, he would always drink a cup of tea with me. Just before leaving, I asked him, does he dream often? He simply said yes, and then after some time he added that they are not pleasant ones. It was really sad to see him in such a state, and my gut feeling suggested that this was going to be our last meeting. And today, when I heard the sad news of his passing, all the happy memories of my interactions with him came flooding back. Lots of people have written about Dr. Manmohan Singh in not so flattering way about his politics and his tenure of prime ministership. However, in my many meetings since 2000 with him, I found Dr. Singh to be very nice, humble, and decent human being. There was an element of spirituality in him, and it is this quality that attracted me to him. He was also a dear friend of mine. I enjoyed his company and he of mine. Since I was not there to ask him for any political or other favors, our meetings were very cordial and noble. People always said that he did not talk much, but with me he was open and talked at length about the issues or questions that I asked. I feel truly blessed in knowing such a noble soul. I also feel that if anybody deserves Bharat Ratna, it should be Dr. Manmohan Singh. He and Shri Narasimha Rao, the former Prime Minister in 1990s, ushered in the new India. Shri Rao got the Bharat Ratna last year. I do hope Modi ji is magnanimous enough to give it to Dr. Singh this year. Thank you very much.